or possibly even your camera if you wanted to ask a question. So welcome to this, our Health, Safety, Security and Environment Youth Forum. This is the 25th year that AmCham Trinidad and Tobago is hosting this initiative. And this year we decided to do things a little bit different. We decided to partner with Restore a Sense of ICANN so that we could reach students, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but we wanted to reach students within the region. And I have to say we have been successful in doing that. So thank you all for participating. Let me also thank our sponsor, Point Lisa's Nitrogen Limited, for sponsoring our youth forum. Our presenter today is Mr. Daren Dhoray. Daren is a digital anthropologist who has been studying, researching, and presenting on topics related to internet addiction, cyberbullying, and social media etiquette. Daren holds the post of webmaster at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus. He has presented voluntarily to over 20,000 students, parents, and teachers collectively from Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Lucia, Brazil, Germany, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. Daren, I will now hand over to you to take us through this afternoon session.
Thank you, Melissa, and good afternoon to everyone. So we are coming hot off the heels of our morning presentation. That was quite invigorating. We did have a lot of questions from the students that attended. So I anticipate that we may have similar questions from this group. And as Melissa indicated, let's see if we can hold those questions until after the presentation. We do have quite a lot to cover. So the expectation is to get through the presentation as fast as we can and have a session after for some question and answers. So I'm going to share my screen. And once you can see that screen, we can begin, right? So Melissa, can you just confirm that we're good to go?
Yes, we're good to go.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. So again, good afternoon, everyone. So this is the second of my two sessions today. This session is actually geared towards young adults. I know that we may have some folks who probably sat in on the earlier session and may be joining us today as well. But the information can really apply to anyone. Some of it might be a bit more pertinent to you at this point in time in your life, and some of you may be able to take some notes to use it going forward. So without further ado, let's give you an idea as to what to expect. And we are going to speak about, your online brand identity, or what is more fondly referred to as your digital footprint. Definitely, it's cyber safety. During this presentations, we must touch on online safety. And knowing the audience and understanding that, who we are and what we're doing right now and where the world is leading us, I thought that it was most appropriate that we speak about digital entrepreneurship and how you can make some money online, right? And also to just bring to the table this afternoon and to the discussion that right here in Trinidad and Tobago, we can actually use the online space as a means of income generation and, as either a second opportunity for us to, to supplement our studies and our, regular work. And then, of course, we're going to speak about working in the digital age, as I'm not sure, but some of you in this audience today, either may already be or going to start working in the digital age. So what's your online brand identity? Your online brand identity ideally is your digital footprint, and it's quite important for you to understand the relevance of your online brand identity right now. You see, you may have folks looking in on you, not from a personal perspective, like not your friends, but you may have professionals. That might be employers, or even if you're thinking about going to university admission officers, they may be looking in on your profiles to get a little bit more information about you. And we spoke about that this morning as well, in terms of how your digital footprint plays a very important part in what is referred to as your living resume or your online resume. It's something that, supposedly reflects a true representation of you, the individual, as opposed to, just your academic records alone. So it's something that you have to be very mindful of, because your online brand identity is essentially every trace you leave of yourself on the internet. It's literally every post, comment, your gaming nicknames, the videos you upload. I mean, you could read this slide here. It's literally all of your interactions with these online platforms. And how can you figure out or find or see what someone notices about your digital footprint? Well, you definitely can just Google your name. And Googling your name will allow you to get a sense as to what someone will find out about you if they are, looking for you online. And just by reviewing that, you can actually tell yourself whether or not, what, I'm pretty okay with this. I'm okay with what a prospective employer or even a university admissions employer, admissions officer, or even a current teacher or parent might, see if they Google your name. Now, I like to use something called Google Alerts, which is a free service offered by Google. And you can go to google.com/alerts, and it will allow you to enter your name, for example. So anytime something comes up with your name, and you'll get an email from Google saying, hey, there is an article that I found on the internet that has your name, you might be interested. So of course I have Google Alerts for my name, and I would have been alerted, on occasion if an article is written and my name is mentioned. Now, what I also use Google Alerts for is if I'm doing research or a project. So digital anthropology is something that I am interested in. So I have a Google Alert for digital anthropology. So anytime that phrase shows up, in an article, I would receive, an email from Google saying, hey, look, this is an article with that phrase. It's something that I think a lot of kids can use, even parents and teachers, if you're doing research on a particular topic, or you're just interested, it might be a hobby that you might have. Google Alerts work really well there. So it's part of your living resume. And for those of us on the call here, you may have your popular or your regular social media accounts, and that might be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Some of you may be on other platforms as well, TikTok and the like. But I want to encourage you that, as soon as, you probably get some certificates or a little bit of job experience, whether it be an internship or even, your very first job, that you also go and create an account on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is definitely one of the more popular professional social and it will allow you, to be in control of that particular profile. A lot of employers as well as university officers, they also look at LinkedIn to get a better sense of what you can do professionally and academically. So even many professionals in Trinidad and Tobago tend to stay away from LinkedIn, but I know that it's growing in popularity. It's something that you definitely would like to do. So part of a digital footprint, as we indicated, includes what you do and say and how you interact online. And that's also referred to as, social media etiquette. And it's something that, I think that we should always pay attention to. One thing that I would like to bring up here is, if you're gonna engage in any sort of online business, you would want to have different social media platforms, one for your business and one for your personal space. You wouldn't want to mix those, right? And it really helps you going forward. And I'm saying business because, some of you are thinking, well, I don't have no business, but, you never know what could come to play. I would have interacted with some individuals that 11 years, 12 years, one was 8 years. All of them have social media platforms that they have used to promote their business. One of the guys, he's actually selling fudge online. Another one is selling plants. Another one is doing crafts. And these are all, of course, they are working alongside, their parents and or maybe older brothers and sisters when creating the platforms. So don't think that it's not for you. It's definitely something that's, very possible and practical. So these tips here, there's some social media etiquette guidelines. I don't want to say rules that you should probably use. Something that I'd like to highlight: don't be reactive. And this is, very pertinent, especially in our space. You might see a post regarding someone or a business or a particular topic. There are many related to COVID and the vaccines and so on. Don't be reactive. Don't jump in to make a statement without getting all the facts. Some of the news might be fake news. You would have probably heard that term, over and over again. So be very, very aware as to, how you respond and what you say. Another point that I think we need to be reminded of is you must be aware of cultural differences. Things that might be funny in Trinidad and Tobago, or terms that we might use might not necessarily be or have the same meaning. They may actually have very different meanings in other countries. And those things can be quite offensive to individuals. So you have to be quite wary of that as well. And of course, avoid oversharing. And definitely you would want to understand the purpose of each platform and don't necessarily use it inappropriately. Now we're speaking about all these different social media platforms and so on. And one of the elements of your online brand identity is your professional photo. If you were to probably Google my name and look at the different social media platforms, you would see that I have one particular image that's shared across multiple platforms. It's a professional photo which was actually taken with my particular phone. It wasn't done by any professional, but it's something that I have used across the board. And what I am encouraging you to do is get a really good professional photo and visit a site called Gravatar. Gravatar allows you to upload one picture, right, to this site, and it would replicate that picture to all social media platforms. So you don't have to be worried about, moving those images across the different social media platforms. So definitely it's something that you would want to look at. Gravatar is the name of that particular tool. It's globally recognized avatar. And I think as you become a little bit more mature and you join more professional networks, this is definitely something that you would want to be aware of. Now, another thing that you would want to be aware of is your online safety. And this includes a few different areas that we want to touch on today. And phishing is definitely the first thing I want to speak about, because there has been an increased number of attacks of phishing scams, and I'm going to explain that to you right now. So phishing comes in the form mostly of an email. Sometimes it does come in the form of a text message, but you might get an email indicating that, hey, you're running out of space, or you need to change your password, or there is something wrong with your account and you need to change your password. What you have to be aware of is more than likely the authors of these emails might pretend to be somebody like Microsoft or Gmail or Amazon or even Netflix. And 10 out of 10 times, those providers will not ask you to change your email like that, right? They will be very personal. They would not be generic. So for example, in this email here, in this example of an email here, you are seeing dear network user. Now that's a telltale sign that the message is probably a scam, because the bigger companies like Amazon and Netflix and Apple and so on, they pay a lot of money to manage their customer relations. So if they have to send me an email, it will more than likely be dear Daren, right? Or they wouldn't say it, dear user. So those are things that you need to bear in mind and look at. If the email gives you a sense of urgency that you have to do this now or else you're going to lose access, and it seems as if you have to act immediately, that's also a telltale sign that it's probably a scam as well. More than likely, these things will give you an opportunity to log on and change it within a reasonable amount of time, but nothing like your password will expire in 24 hours. And lastly, what we need to be mindful of is the website address. So I'm going to highlight this URL that you're seeing here, myuniversity.edu/renewal. When you actually visit it, it's actually not that website address. It's actually myuniversity.edurenewal.com. It's a completely different website address, but it's made to make you think that it looks quite similar. And this is again another sign of a phishing scam. If you go to cybersafeTT.com and you search for fish tank, PHISHTANK, you will see a lot more examples of phishing emails. And I think it's something that you need to be very aware of, because it's something that, like I said, it's quite prevalent in the workplace. And I also know a lot of students who have received these type of phishing emails. Why this is extremely important: we put a lot of information in our emails, especially for school and so on. And if that becomes compromised, it means that Maybe also our social media accounts might become compromised as well, because that's how people get access to those accounts. So we have to be very, very mindful of that. It's all, a type of cybercrime or cyber criminal activity. And definitely there are ways in which the law can and will treat with it. This is actually referred to in the next slide under the Cybercrime Act. Now, the Cybercrime Act is still yet to be enacted in law, but this is an excerpt from it. And I just wanted to give you a sense as to, what it speaks about in terms of cyberbullying. Now, we didn't touch on that point as yet. I did go to lengths of speaking about it this morning, but we can touch on it now. So in this particular proposed law, it speaks about a cyberbully being someone who will use a computer system, that could be a laptop or a phone, or any sort of connected device, to cause fear, intimidation, humiliation, or detriment to another person's well-being, self-esteem, or reputation. You see that last part, reputation, is very important. So if you're using a computer to, cause fear or intimidation or say something bad about another person or company, that's a form of cyberbullying. And the law is, stating that we're not taking this lightly. We will probably look at, if found guilty, charging you, upwards of $100,000 to $250,000 and jail time. So it's not something that they're taking lightly at all. And I indicating it to you because I think that Trinidad and Tobago, we tend to be very loose, for want of a better word, with how we use social media and what we say and what we post and upload, because we may not necessarily have these laws in place. We tend to get away with saying a lot of things, and even sharing inappropriate images is something that we have to be very wary of. Now, even in the absence of this particular law, we do have the current law of tort, which refers to the Offenses Against the Person Act. And with this act, we do have the option to have someone charged, or you can yourself be charged if you're over the age of 18 for certain cyberbullying or online offenses. And if you are under the age of 18, then your parent or guardian can actually entertain that liability for the act of their kids. Now, I want to draw particular attention to invasion of privacy and defamation of character. This is in direct relation to, for example, sharing of inappropriate images. So if you may have an inappropriate image or someone sent it to you, let's just say in confidence, you really shouldn't be sharing it outside, or that group or to someone else. And if you are caught doing that, it actually falls as an offense against the person, causing, emotional distress or reputational damage. Now, it's good that you understand and know about this at a young and early age, because as you become older, the chances of you receiving more and more of that type of information will probably grow. And knowing how to deal with it when you actually get those images or videos or pictures is really good for you to understand. So definitely, you cannot stop someone from sending you those things, but you don't want to keep it in your person. You of course want to delete it as soon as you receive it. Now, all of these things really do fall under your entire digital footprint, and it's how you conduct yourself online. And I think for the stage that you are in life right now, you want to pay particular attention as to how this can probably impact going forward. Now, this slide shows some universities that have all had articles related to online content, whether it be cyberbullying, sharing of inappropriate images, and everything that falls under that umbrella, improper use of the internet, let's just say. And they would have taken multiple approaches in terms of dealing with students, whether it be from removing their scholarships, expelling them, expulsion, suspension, different mechanisms. And as you can see here, these are the big names. These are the Ivy Leagues. These are the ones that you probably might be applying to within the next year or so. So it's very, very, very important that you understand that your digital footprint can be used for good as well as for bad. And this particular slide speaks about universities, but it also applies to potential jobs. Employers will also do the same, and they will probably act. They will probably act if they find that you are not conducting yourselves in the best of manners online. I do have some newspaper headlines of different things that would have happened over the years from either universities or other businesses. And as you can read here, there are quite a few interesting things that we should note. For example, Harvard rescinding admission to 10 students for offensive Facebook memes. And this was actually racially motivated memes. So even things like that, these universities are not, they're not entertaining at all, right? A woman sentenced to 15 months in texting suicide case. This is quite unique because the person involved here was actually intimate with another person. Sorry, the girl was intimate with the guy, and the guy was feeling depressed, and he sent a message saying, I'm feeling really depressed, and I think I might commit suicide, I might kill myself. And instead of being supportive, the woman was saying, well, fine, go ahead and kill yourself. And apparently that exchange of messages happened for a couple of weeks, up until the point where he did take his own life. And upon investigation, the police officers realized, hey, this woman might have been instrumental in this person taking his own life. And she was sentenced to jail for that activity. So I don't want to say that she may have been doing it in jest, but the fact of the matter is, you have to be very, very cautious as to how you use the internet, how you use the different platforms, chat tools, because it is something that can have a very, very negative effect of you going forward. And you would have seen those here with the Trinidad and Tobago flags. So it brings light to these situations happening right here, and using the current laws. One would have been from a 2015 article, and another one from a 2018 article. And we would have had other articles that would have surfaced since that time. So that sort of brings us to a close on the topic and concept of your digital footprint, being safe on the internet. I'm sure you would have probably noted most of these before, and it might just be a reiteration of some of the things that we would have said. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, right? And we're going to jump straight into the topic of digital entrepreneurship, because I think it's something that again, this group would be very, very interested in. And as we become a bit more familiar and engrossed with social media, you might probably also be aware that, especially I think during that, COVID from last year into earlier this year, you'd have seen a lot of new business profiles come up. And by business profiles, I mean just an individual wanting to sell something that, they might be good at doing, whether it is making a product or even speaking or a whole host of different things. And it's really for us to understand that there's a mindset when it comes to utilizing the online platforms. Most of us think that, you have social media to just play and, just, party, right? But you can actually use it from a very professional perspective. So the mindset divide speaks about how different people or how people use social networks for different reasons, right? And most of us might be using it for personal, where we might want to have fun. It might just create a little bit of distraction from the norm, and it's something that some of us use to relieve a little bit of stress. But then we also have professional use of either the same network or different networks, where we can actually, invest time and, build a business. So as I mentioned, invest time, the real difference is one we will spend time on, and the other one we will invest time on. And I personally believe that we can use the same platform to do both, right? Spending time and also investing time. But remember, I mentioned earlier on that if you're looking to invest time in one of those platforms, then it's best that you create a second profile to do so. Nice. So why is this important? Because I think every one of us here has the opportunity to become a budding entrepreneur without much effort. All you need to do is figure out what is that one thing that you can offer to the community, to the world. And social media is a way in which you can actually, utilize the market and sell your product. Okay, you can maintain that professional identity, search for other opportunities, and stay in touch with your clients and other businesses as well. So one question that often follows with this is, all right, so if I'm actually, building a business online, then how do I get paid, right? So payment options are very, I should say, open right now in Trinidad and Tobago. And a lot of this might pertain to someone that might be 18 years and over, but you also have the opportunity of working with either an older sibling or your parents to actually get some of these things set up. So right now in Trinidad and Tobago, we have WePay, which is the equivalent of PayPal, right? It's a local version of PayPal, and it allows you to send a link. You could send it via WhatsApp or email to someone who might want to purchase a particular product, and they click on that link, and they would enter their credit card information, and you would get paid in WePay. If you can open up a bank account, you can open up a WePay account. So that might probably be the deciding factor as to whether or not there is an age limit, because I'm actually not sure if there's an age limit in actually opening up a WePay account. And it's pretty good. So, if you, for example, selling plants, selling seedlings, fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, and you want to do that online, and you're thinking about ways of getting paid, of course, you do have bank transfers and wire transfers. But if you want to reach a wider audience, online transactions is also very, very possible via these mechanisms. Now, another way in which you can actually look to generate money instead of offering a product for sale is seeing what someone else might have to do. So my virtual office, these are some sites that I have in my back pocket, whenever I'm looking to see, if there's an opportunity to make some additional cash. Freelancer and Fiverr and Upwork, they all offer opportunities for you to get paid and do work. So for example, quite simply, there's something called medical transcriptions where, an individual might have a handwritten document that they want transcribed into Microsoft Word. And that's a job that you can apply for, and you might get $5 or $10 US to actually get that done. And there are a lot of similar type of jobs. They may ask you to write an article on a particular topic. What I've seen recently, particularly for folks in the Caribbean region, is requests to write articles on the La Soufre volcano eruption. So that's another thing that we could be aware of as well. You guys might have had to do research on that particular topic, and writing an article in it might be quite easily. And I've actually seen those articles being sold for upwards of $25 US, and that's just for writing a 400 word count article. So those are things that are quite possible, and that literally anyone can actually sign up to get that sorted out. YouTube is also an option for income generation, even though that's a little bit more tedious because you need to be able to create content on a regular basis. I know that we do have some local YouTubers who do create content. They do reviews of technical products, they do reviews of other things. We have quite a lot of chefs or wannabe chefs that are on YouTube, and they are generating content. They have a lot of followers, and of course, the more followers and the more views you get, the higher the chance of you actually getting paid from YouTube. So these are all options, and I really like to explain to the students and young adults that these are all things that are very applicable right here in Trinidad and Tobago. It's not a North American thing. It's not a European thing. We could employ all of these facilities right here. And many teachers, I've actually assisted a lot of local teachers in uploading PDF versions of their books to Amazon.com. So that's something else that is an option. If you are a writer, you want to write a book, you can actually upload it to Amazon and get paid. So these are all facilities that we can actually use. So that's one aspect of working in the digital age. But something that might be a little bit more applicable to the audience right now is this aspect of working in the digital age, and that's protecting your hardware and protecting your information, right? So we're talking about information security. In the past, I would have recommended free antivirus and anti-malware software, but to be honest with you, the attacks have become so much more sophisticated and so much more prevalent that I would strongly recommend that you pay for a proper antivirus, or you pay for the same version of the free one that you have, right? And it's really important that we look at, protecting our computers, because it would help us against things like ransomware, and, spyware and malware, and all the other types of, bad software, which can, wreak havoc on our daily lives. So here's the thing: if you are using your computer today and you shut it down and you open it up tomorrow and you realize, hey, I have ransomware on my machine, which means that I can no longer access the content on my machine. It's all encrypted. What would you do, right? And this is where a good backup strategy would come in, and we'll speak about that in a little bit as well. So from the antivirus perspective, I always recommend Malwarebytes Anti-Malware, and the AVG Antivirus, or AVG Internet Security. I could probably update that to AVG Internet Security. That's something that you will have to pay for. It's not very expensive to get coverage for the entire family, and it's something I would strongly recommend. The same way which you're paying for internet access on a monthly basis, you should really pay for something to protect you. I always make the analogy that we may look at installing security cameras and burglar proofing and stuff to protect our homes, but we don't do anything to protect our also very important investment, which is our laptops and computers and the information on it as well. So definitely have that conversation with your parents. Or if you have the ability to do it on your own, look at purchasing, internet security software and proper, anti-malware software. Now, backing up is something that, would go hand in hand, with protecting the information on your machine. And a 3-to-1 backup strategy is something that, you should try to employ all the time. And what do I mean? 3 copies of the same item on 2 different media, one being off-site. So let's just say we're working on an SBA project. The first backup would be the actual version that you're working on your laptop. The second backup would be something that you could probably store on an external hard drive or a USB key. And then the third backup would be, something that's off-site. And when we say off-site or in the cloud, we will refer to things like Google Drive or OneDrive from Microsoft or Dropbox and so on. These are sites that, if your laptop or desktop were to crash or go bad, you can visit someone else, laptop, and visit someone else and use their laptop to download that project to continue working, or download the SBA to submit. You would not lose it because you would have lost access to the physical device. So that's the 3-to-1 backup strategy. This is something I think that you should employ from now all the way into your work life, until you absolutely leave it out. And it does not only apply to professional things, but it also applies to personal things. So for example, you may have some pictures that you want to keep. You may have scanned some documents that you want to keep as well. This is also a good strategy to use, just to ensure that you never really lose any of them. So we have spoken about the different platforms that you can actually use to gain a little bit more security online. But the common denominator to all of these platforms is something called, well, actually, I'm jumping ahead, but it's something called passwords. Because I actually had this question: what do these represent? And unfortunately, these actually still represent some passwords that people use. And I really, really hope that no one in the audience today uses any of these as their passwords, because it's actually quite easy for you to figure out, right? Not you, but someone to figure out. And if someone figures out your password, then we also have the problem of using the same password in multiple places. So sometimes the Instagram password might be our email password, might be our TikTok password, and so on and so forth. So if one gets compromised, then the chances of all of them getting compromised is highly likely. So you want to ensure that you use a strong password, which generally comprises of upper and lowercase characters, numbers and symbols, and it's all written down here. But what I want to encourage you to do is actually visit cybersafeTT.com and search for our page on passwords. And I spoke about something relating to a password management tool, and I think that's the better approach to managing your passwords and having strong passwords across all platforms, instead of you having to try and remember all of these funny looking weird characters. Another thing that you might want to employ is a passphrase. So, a password, as it says, is a word that, you might have to make strong, and you probably can't remember it, but a passphrase is something that you might be more familiar with. So something that you might say on a regular basis, or that it's easy for you to remember. For example, I love peanut butter. Let's just use that as your phrase. I love peanut butter. All you need to do is swap out a few of the letters for some numbers and some special characters, and there you have it. You have a very long password in the form of a passphrase that's actually quite secure. So that's another option. You can get a lot more information about that, as I said, on cybersafeTT.com. So we're winding up here, and I just want to close off with a particular slide that speaks about social media responsibility. And this is really because I would have seen things, happen online where individuals may have felt the need to voice their opinion, and they may have done so because it might be a matter that's close to their heart, whether it be on the racial divide, political divide, or any sort of sensitive topic. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to conduct yourself online, but what I'm saying is, if you show any sort of partisan approach to a particular topic, there is a high possibility that someone will probably see it and use that against you. So be very, very cautious as to the views that you express online, especially at this very young age, because it could mark or tarnish your reputation online and possibly even affect opportunities that might come your way. So yes, we can use social media very responsibly, and we can voice our opinion, but at the same time, you don't want to be rude about it. You want to do it with proper etiquette. And it's, of course, you have to understand that it will form part of your digital footprint. And if it's not deleted or removed, there's a high possibility that someone will probably search and find that information, or find something that you said, right? And I brought this up because, we may not be entirely, mentally mature at this point in time in our lives, and we may say certain things, and later on in life, we may understand things a bit better and realize that that's not the best thing to say or way to say that thing, and you don't really want to have that, as part of your digital footprint, because someone will probably, find it and use it against you. We have seen many instances where tweets have been surfaced after being, written 10 years before, and used against someone in their current life. So be very, very responsible about what you say, what you post. It will have an impact on you as you go forward. So with that, I want to say thanks for, your time. I think we do have, a few minutes for some question and answers. Please take the time to visit cybersafeTT.com. We are on the popular social media platforms, and if there's any slide that you want me to revert to, in the question and answers, please let me know. And even if you don't feel like asking a question right now, and you want to get some more follow-up information, whether it is on the digital entrepreneurship side or anything, you can always send me an email, Daren@cybersafeTT.com. So I'm going to leave the floor open for anyone who may have any sort of questions as it pertains to what we discussed today. Yeah, and I'll leave this slide up just for a couple of minutes again. Right. So yeah, no, go ahead.
This question really don't have to pertain to what we learned, but it does have to pertain to this event. With the sessions and the different points acquainted to them, how that working? I don't understand.
I think we may need to get one of the. I'm not entirely aware of the points system, but I did see some questions. I'm not sure if Melissa might be able to answer that quickly.
Yeah, in terms of what about the point system? So when you attend sessions, you're going to get points. You need to have I think it's at least accrued 30 points to be able to get a certificate, which should be the equivalent of 3 sessions.
But how do you prove that you joined the session? Is it registration? Is it they will check your attendance? How?
They're going to check, yes. They're going to check attendance. So I'm hoping you would have used your correct name when you logged in to this session.
Yes.
Correct. So we would be looking at that.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
Since you're talking about safe browsing, I think, does it have a browser that you could rather use?
I didn't get the question clearly. I wasn't even sure if it was directed to me.
To Mr. Daren, you know how you said you safe browsing and stuff, like I would like to know if it have a specific browser that you would recommend to somebody, like Travel
Oh,
or
okay.
Brave.
Okay, I understand now. So all browsers actually are quite good in terms of, and they do the same thing, but your safe browsing activity is not defined by the browser, but actually defined as to how you, well, two things, right? One, it's something called your privacy settings. So you would definitely want to ensure that, on your device, whether it is a mobile device or even on your laptop, that you look at your privacy settings. So certain things like, your location services, so that folks can't, figure out where you're posting from or what your location is at any point in time. You may want to turn those things off, those features off, location services. With respect to, safe browsing on the internet, most of the internet security software, right? I think I would have mentioned AVG as being one of them, which does have particular software to help protect against bad things happening. So, for example, if it senses that a link that you might click on might lead you to a bad site, it will prompt you and say, hey, you may not necessarily want to click on that because we think that it's going to take you to a bad site. So it's not really the browser, but it's more the software that you might have installed. So back to this particular slide here, this is what you will probably want to employ. Even if you open up your email, which is, again, more than likely, it might be in a browser, but if you're using an email client like Microsoft Outlook, for example, that's not a browser, right? But, the internet safety security software would help, review the links in your email, review the attachments in your email, and the websites that you browse. So yeah, just to clarify, it's not necessarily the browser, but you would want to look at, your security software, such as your antivirus, your internet security software, and malware software.
And I also wanted to ask, with the different slides and PowerPoints, do we get like access to them or anything like that?
Right. So I actually have a lot of this information, if not all of it, on cybersafeTT.com. We would have some presentations there. We would even have some sessions that would have been recorded on our YouTube channel, plus a lot of articles on cybersafeTT.com. And you'll get a lot more information, on each of the different topics that we shared on the website. So feel free to browse CyberSafeTT, to get more information.
Yeah, we would also be sending the links as well to your principals and your teachers.
That would be for the recordings?
Yes.
Hi, I also want to know, do you think that VPNs are effective to protect your identity and data?
Right. So VPNs, and for those of, for the rest of the folks on the call who are not aware of what a VPN is, VPN actually stands for Virtual Private Network. A VPN is probably one of the best opportunities that you can, employ yourself to start to protect, the communication between your computer and another server. That being said, there are many free VPNs which may not necessarily offer the level of protection that you think you're getting. So if you really and truly want to hide or mask yourself or be almost anonymous on the internet, you would probably have to look at employing a paid-for VPN. Now, what most of the free VPNs will do, they may mask your IP address. So for example, someone might not be able to know that you are actually based in Trinidad and Tobago. It will also, and most VPNs do this, which I think would be an advantage to everyone. It would encrypt the information that you are sending over the internet, which is really good because let's say, for example, you are typing out your password, to enter your email address, and someone is really, listening in on that conversation between your computer and let's just say Google. If you don't have a VPN, then there is a high possibility that if they're listening in on our traffic, they can figure out what your password is. So yes, a VPN can protect. Free VPNs may not offer all of the protection that you think that it would. A paid for VPN would definitely, do that job. Protecting data, yeah, I think that's where the paid for VPNs would probably come in. But protecting, things like your passwords and the communication that you share between your computer and the other website or servers that you communicate with, possibly the free VPNs would help with that as well.
Any other questions? We can take one last question before we have to wrap up.
We had so much more interaction this morning.
Yeah. So I am not
Yes,
seeing
I
any
have a
other.
question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So what's your email again?
Yeah, it's Daren@cybersafety.com. Here it is.
Any capital
I'm
letters?
sure.
Any capital letters or anything? Can you spell it out, please?
So email addresses are not case sensitive. That's across the board, any platform, anyone, anywhere. So you can actually type either uppercase or lowercase and it will still go through. Just make sure you have the correct spelling.
So can you spell it for me, please?
It's DAREN@CYBERSAFETT.com. I have it up on the slide here. I guess that counts as the question, Melissa.
I guess so. So that being our last question, Daren, I would like to thank you for this presentation and thank you for the time that you took. This morning's session was just as good as this session this afternoon. I've learned a lot, actually.
Great.
So thanks a lot. We have a session that is going to begin at 3 p.m. I urge you guys to join. It's around the theme Careers in STEM. So I look forward to you joining. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you attend 3 sessions, you would receive a certificate. In terms of, as it relates, say if you came late or if you came early, it would all depend on how long you stayed in the class. So if you came in for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, it wouldn't be recorded that you've attended that session. So my advice is don't just do 3 sessions, do more than 3 sessions. They're all fantastic sessions, so take advantage of that. So thank you all. Thank you, Daren. I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Point Lisa's Nitrogen Limited. Thank you everyone for joining us for this session. See you guys in the next session. Bye-bye.
Great.
Excuse me.
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
I got disconnected.